I EQ in two different stages. We have Subtractive EQ, which is basically where I will use what I call a transparent EQ. In this case, we're going to be using the Pro Q4 to remove any frequencies that are too harsh in the vocal, room noise, etc., things like that. And then I use what I call a colored EQ later on in the chain to add character, warmth, and depth. So, and I try to keep it as simple as possible. So as you can see on this chain here, really I only have two EQs. There's duplicates because I've muted the EQs that I've already done on this mix, and we're going to start from scratch for this video so you can see exactly how I would approach it. We have the Pro Q4 and then the Mag, and you can see where they are in the chain. So what I'll do is I'll pull up this Pro Q4 and I have the vocal soloed. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to keep the rest of the plugins on so you can hear the compression and things like that, and it's not changing the sound too much as we go along, because I don't want that to, because that all adds to the character. It's the vocal chain as a whole works together, but for the purpose of this video, we're just going to be focusing on the EQ techniques. So I'll loop a bit, and what I'll be doing is sort of listening to the vocals, seeing what's popping out, and then I'll show you the techniques that I use with the Pro Q4 to help me find those frequencies and adjust them.
I've been living in a daydream, trying to avoid all the issues that start to plague me. So I move my...
So first things first, with vocals, most vocals, you're going to pretty much want to roll off most of the low end up to like 100 Hertz, getting rid of all that boominess, all that room noise. So I'll get a low cut. I come over here to the slope. I'm going to adjust it probably to like 48 dB. And I'm going to bring it in to like 100 Hertz.
I've been living in a daydream, trying to avoid all the issues that start to...
Low, because the vocals are quite low and deep, and I don't actually want to remove any of that character. And then I'm going to listen up towards the top end. So I'm going to try to force my ears up towards the top end and sort of hear where the S's are poking out and any of those sibilants.
I've been living in a daydream, trying to avoid all the issues that start to plague me. So I remove myself from my reality, I hit the substance right, and that starts to free me. Now I start...
So I can see it's sort of up by 7K. There is a bit of like S's and sibilants that are popping out too much. Now what I like to do on the Pro Q4 is I'll play it.
I've been living in a daydream,
and then when it goes purple,
start to plague me.
And then when it goes purple like this, I can hold down the left click and it will go blue, and then this way it gives me a screenshot. So then I can click when these peaks come out, I can click them and start pulling them down. So that's a big S. We've got about 11K as well. That's going to be really sharp. And that's going to be around our two S's there. So I'm going to keep them ducked, and then we can have a listen to them.
I remove myself from my...
Again, irritating frequency. No. So we're going to keep them ducked, and then what I'll do is I'll highlight both, come over to this drop down menu, and I am going to make dynamic, and I'm going to pull these down to like 6 dB, and I'm going to up the gain on them. So we're not just ducking those frequencies all the time. It's just going to duck when they really start to peak. And I'm going to narrow the Q slightly as well.
I've been living in a daydream, trying to avoid all the issues that start to plague me. So I remove myself...
Now you can hear straight away that softened the S's already, so it's doing a great job at that.
I've been living in a daydream, trying to avoid all the issues that start to plague me. So I remove myself from my reality, I hit the substance right, and that starts to free.
And then there's just a little bit of boominess. Now, a lot of people will do a low cut on this section. That's not something I like to do. I like to, you know, I like to do that with a multi-band compressor. If you guys are interested in seeing that video where I use multi-band compression to tighten the low end rather than just cutting it out, so we still have a lot of body in the vocal, but not losing any sort of like, not making the vocal thin, let me know and we can work on something like that. But there's these P's which are definitely cutting out through these frequencies here. So let's just let's make this dynamic as well, so it's not cutting all the time. Let's just scoop that in a bit, and have a listen. Okay,
all the dark
good.
voices fade into an echo. My head sinks deeper to the pillow. Restart life like a video game, Nintendo. I've been living in a daydream, trying to avoid all the issues that start to plague me. So I remove myself from my reality. I hit the substance right, and that starts to free me.
Really just listening to the vocal over and over again intently, trying to find anything that I'm not liking or that's poking out too much.
I've been living in a daydream, trying to avoid all the issues that start to plague me.
So just on that trying here, this is kind of boosting out a little bit too much. So I'm just going to do, we're not going to make this dynamic, but I'm just going to open this up and just drop that frequency just a bit, because it's just poking out just a bit too much, making it a little bit muddy.
I've been living in a daydream, trying to avoid all the issues that start to plague me. So I remove myself from my reality. I hit the substance right, and that starts to free me. Now I start to see the sunlight through the window.
Okay, that's sounding great. And literally, that is all I will do subtractively. It's just, that's all I think it needs. You know, maybe later on, as we move through the vocals, different parts of the vocals, they might need different things. If there's something that really drastically pops out just at one part of the vocal, I will separate that vocal, or put it onto a different chain and make the adjustment there so it's not affecting the whole chain. And let's just A/B this.
I've been living in a daydream, trying to avoid all the issues that start to plague me. So I remove myself from my reality. I hit the substance right, and that starts to free me. Now I start to see the sunlight through the window. All the dark voices fade into an echo. My head sinks
so
deeper.
You can hear straight away, I'm removing that room. It sounds a lot more cleaner. It sounds a lot more professional. It sounds a lot more directional as well. The only thing that I did here is I just want to actually lower these a little bit. I think they're just a bit too extreme, sort of sucking the S out a little bit. Pause on that one.
I've been living in a daydream, trying to avoid all the issues that start to plague me. So I remove myself.
Okay, and then, so that's subtractive EQ on a vocal. Now, the other part I will talk about is what I use, you know, to bring color, a bit of life, brightness into the vocal. I like using the Mag EQ for this. I use the Mag EQ on my vocals all the time. Really simple technique. I will get 10K and I'll boost the air. And this is going to really help bring a bit of clarity.
I've been living in a daydream, trying to avoid all the issues that start to plague me. So I remove myself from my reality. I hit the substance right, and that starts to free me. Now I start to see the sunlight through the window. All the dark voices fade into an echo. My head sinks deeper to the pillow. Restart life like a video game, Nintendo.
And then I've been living, because we've adjusted our S's slightly beforehand, it's taming those. We also do have a de-esser on as well, which is helping that out. Let's do, and then another thing that I might do is with this EQ is I tend to remove a little bit of 650, which takes out some of the muddiness from the vocal, but I keep in the low end to keep it sort of warm and round.
I've been living in a daydream, trying to avoid all the issues that start to plague me. So I remove myself from my reality. I hit the substance right, and I start.
Let's have a listen to it with the instrumental.
I've been living in a daydream, trying to avoid all the issues that start to plague me. So I remove myself from my reality. I hit the substance right, and that starts to free me. Now I start to see the sunlight through the window. All the dark voices fade into an echo. My head sinks deeper to the pillow. Restart life like a video game, Nintendo.
So it sounds a lot tighter. It sounds a lot more controlled, and it sounds a lot more, and it sounds brighter as well. And you know, really, I haven't done much. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Just be very, very, you know, meaningful with what you're doing and the adjustments that you're using, and really just try to use your ears. It's very, very easy to overcook your EQ, do too much, and sort of end up destroying the vocal and taking all the life and the character out of the vocal. So just one more time, we'll have a little play through.
I've been living in a daydream, trying to avoid all the issues that start to plague me. So I remove myself from my reality. I hit the substance right, and that starts to free me. Now I start to see the sunlight through the window.
To me, that sounds great. And that is really the simplest way I like to EQ. I've tried to keep it, as I said, very simple. I do a subtractive EQ and then a colored EQ, as I put it, with like a emulation EQ using a mag, or you could use, you know, a Pole Tech, anything you like, SSL EQ, they're great as well. but I like to have a little bit more detail and transparency when I'm doing my subtractive EQ. So my reach is always the Pro Q4 or the Pro Q3 if you have that. And then, yeah, something colored. Very simple, keep it easy and make the adjustments. And then the rest of it comes from using compression and maybe some saturation and things like that. And that's really all that's going on here. So I hope you found this video helpful. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Safe.